One of the biggest mistakes that new players and even experienced players make is taking careless and game-ending mid-game engagements. These fights often lead to endless third parties and having to leave with less loot than you started with. In today's video, I'm going to explain when you should or should not take a mid-game fight, how to counter a player pushing you mid-game, and most importantly, how to end them as fast as possible. Hi everyone, my name is Hyperdrive and welcome to another episode of my series, Gamesense 101. In this series, I will be taking you through every aspect of Gamesense at Fortnite to teach you how to improve your knowledge and start winning more games. If you don't know what mid-game is, it is the time period after early game spent farming mats and rotating to a better position in preparation for late game. This is typically when I suggest you rotate to dead side, look for leftover loot, and go for storm tags. Many players will fight during this time of the game, hoping to get more eliminations, but will soon learn that taking mid-game engagements is detrimental to your game. So why is it? The biggest issue is third parties. During mid-game, nearly everybody on the map is rotating, meaning that fights will oftentimes either be pushed or sprayed at by rotating players looking for an extra elim or storm tags. Most players know that 1 point can be the difference between qualifying or being just short, so they are looking for those extra elimination points. You are also wasting time fighting rather than rotating and matting up. Fights, especially in mid-game, have both players with good enough mats and loot to have the fight going on for a long time, which means that you are wasting mats and heals that you would need for the endgame. Even if you kill the player, there's a high chance you will come out of it with less mats, less heals, and storm on your back. The only way to counter this is to end fights as fast as possible. That way you save time, mats, heals, and don't get third-partied. It is especially difficult to end fights fast now, with the removal of crash pads and shockwaves, taking out many of the known exploits that were extremely useful in ending fights fast. So now you know why taking mid-game engagements is a bad idea, but in case you need to take one, here's a checklist of what to think of. Number 1, positioning. The worst place to fight mid-game is outside of the zone, known as storm fighting, and in the middle of the map, which is where most players are looking to W key, and where most players are rotating from. Therefore, if you're going to take a fight, make sure it's in a secluded area near the edge of the map and inside of zone. Next, your mats, inventory, and rotates. In a lot of scenarios, you might be tempted to take a mid-game engagement because your loot is not good enough to make it through endgame. Maybe you don't have shields, no rotates, and your mats are low. If this is the case, an alternative way to get this loot is to focus on rotating towards supply drops. Supply drops give guaranteed bouncers and heals, and will drop either an epic or legendary weapon. On the way to getting the supply drop, you can mat up, this way getting rotates, better loot, and materials without taking an engagement. You can also grab a harpoon or fishing rod and rotate down a water stream, and fish the spots while getting materials. You will guarantee heals for endgame and the possibility of better guns for your loadout. If you're forced to take the fight, however, the next thing on the checklist is the ability to get initial damage. It is essential that you can get a beam on a player, forcing them to become passive in order to heal and allowing yourself to be the aggressor. I suggest that if you're going to take a fight, hit them for a minimum of 80 HP before pushing. This will also help with ending the fights fast, as long as you take smart angles and don't allow them to hit you for a lot of damage. This will switch the sides of the fight and force you into a passive position. If you're looking for storm tags, instead of taking a mid-game engagement, it is best to carry a sniper or AR and look for tags on players rotating without fully engaging onto them. A lot of players that you tag will heal up, and if they see that you are not engaging with them, will rotate. Unless it's KNG Goofy. If you tag KNG Goofy, he will scuff his entire game to jump in your box. So what should you do if a player initiates a mid-game fight with you? First, see if you can disengage the fight. If the player is not closing the distance on you and going for an aggressive angle, the player might just be going for storm tags. You can disengage by building, tunneling, or using rotates like bouncers if you think you need to. If they keep pressuring you, or they are playing aggressive and you know they want to fight, establish as much control as you can with either high ground or an initial tag. That initial tag will open opportunities for you to force the player to heal, giving you the chance to play aggressive. It is also essential that you end the fight as fast as possible, by either hitting them for a ton of damage and being aggressive, or rotating out after doing a large blow if the fight is taking too long. A great way to avoid mid-game fights is to rotate around the center of the map, staying out of the inner circle. This model shows where you will most likely find mid-game fights, and third parties in-game, and if you stay as far as possible on the edge of the map, you will find less people looking for engagements. Lastly, how to end mid-game fights fast. As I've said before, in Season 5 it is hard to end fights fast without crash pads and shockwaves. The best way is piece control and continuous pressure. The piece control edit course map is great for practicing and improving your piece control, and I highly recommend it. That's the end of the video, everybody. Thank you all so much for watching, and if you enjoyed, please consider subscribing. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let me know in the comments. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.